Hello everyone and welcome back to Learn with Loli. Because kids are at home right now because of the pandemic, I wanted to take today to talk about their development. Cognitive development, social, emotional, and physical development based on their ages. This is especially for kids between the ages of 4 and 14. I'm getting all of my information from an amazing book called Yardsticks by Chip Wood. It's based on the typical Western child's developmental stages and uses research from pioneers like Montessori, Vygotsky, Piaget, Erikson, and other social scientists. If you want to read it yourself, I'm going to put the reference in the comments below. If you're a parent, if you work with kids, if you're just curious, if you're working on a project, this video is for you. So let's get started by having some common ground. First, it's important to know that children typically share common, predictable patterns of growth. And this growth usually happens in the same order. Another important thing is that children don't usually go through these growth patterns at the same rate. The way that children develop can be influenced by their culture, their family dynamic, their personality, and so many other factors, including their genes. Lastly, a child's chronological age, how old they are on paper, does not always equal their developmental age. Sometimes a child can behave or act a lot younger than they actually are. Sometimes they can physically appear to look older, and sometimes they can seem to have an emotional maturity about them. It just depends on the child. With that being said, let's start talking about 4-year-olds. In terms of their physical body, 4-year-olds tend to be very clumsy, with lots of running into things and spilling stuff. That's because they don't have their fine motor skills well developed yet. So even though they can typically grasp a pencil, it won't be a smooth motion. They also need lots of physical activity like running and jumping and dancing, and can only sit still for short periods of time. Socially and emotionally, 4-year-olds tend to be talkative and outgoing, almost bubbly. They're not overly dependent on adults and can make decisions in their own best interest, especially when helped by an adult. But sometimes it can be hard for them to find the words that they need to express themselves. They love being read to and having jobs because it makes them feel responsible and like they're a part of something bigger. They also love rules. Telling a 4-year-old, "That's the rule," could work wonders for you. It's key that you model your expectations for your 4-year-old because they are almost certain to copy you at this developmental stage. Cognitively, they have short attention spans and a need to play dress up and to explore the world around them. They love playing pretend and enjoy activities that involve music, rhythm, and patterns. 5-year-olds, on the other hand, are completely different. Even though they also need a lot of physical activity, they are in much better control of their body movements, like when they're running or when they're jumping. In fact, they learn best through active play and hands-on activities. That being said, they're still a little bit awkward when it comes to fine motor skills like writing. Socially, they love to help, cooperate, follow rules, be good, and by that I mean gain approval from an adult. What they need the most is consistent routines, consistent rules, and consistent discipline. This is given best to them by using clear and direct instruction. Harsh discipline, especially for mistakes, can be so devastating to a 5-year-old. This is why you should try to use redirections and reminders as much as possible. Although they depend on adult authority to give them guidance, and often copy and repeat what they see around them, 5-year-olds typically have trouble seeing things from another person's point of view or perspective. This is why having discussions about characters in books or TV shows can be so beneficial at this age. Another thing about 5-year-olds is that they are tied down by their senses. What they can directly see, hear, touch, taste, and smell is what their world is made of. And because they typically struggle with abstract thoughts, their language tends to be a lot more literal. If you say that we need to fly home because we're running late, they're likely to respond by suggesting that we take a plane or a bird to fly home. 5-year-olds also love to give life and movement to inanimate objects like stuffed animals or other toys. And you might hear a 5-year-old talking to themselves. This is called social speech. Eventually, This will turn into private speech, what we adults and older children hear when we talk to ourselves inside of our own head. Now, a lot of the characteristics of a 5-year-old is going to carry over to when the child turns 6. However, you can tell if a 5-year-old is closer to being 6 if they start to become more restless and unsettled. Physically, 6-year-olds are more aware that they can use their fingers as tools. They also tend to be noisy, sloppy, and in a hurry. They speed towards everything. 6-year-olds are beginning to distinguish their left from their right and are often teething, which is why you might catch a 6-year-old biting on their fingernails or chewing a pencil. They are also enthusiastic, competitive, and they thrive on encouragement. Overall, they have a tremendous capacity for enjoying life and get a kick out of surprises and treats. But you may also find that 6-year-olds always want to be first and can be poor sports by cheating, by being dishonest, or by changing the rules of a game so that they have a better chance of winning. They can also become bossy or critical of others, complain, and become easily upset when they're hurt. Socially, 6-year-olds care a lot about their friendships and may even have a best friend. They love to explain things, which really helps develop their language skills, and tell jokes or play guessing games. 6-year-olds learn best through discovery, are motivated to learn, and are pretty ambitious. Many of them love to color and paint and engage in more elaborate dramatic play than they did when they were 5. There is an explosion of artistic creativity at this age. 6-year-olds need to feel as though all of their creative attempts are valued and that there's no wrong or right approach to creating art. This is especially true because they are extremely sensitive, and a harsh criticism could actually injure them emotionally. The last age that we're going to talk about today is age 7. Or, as some people call it, the age of intensity. Physically, 7-year-olds are a lot more coordinated and better at large movements, so they're also better at playing sports like soccer or basketball. They can be sensitive to many hurts, whether they are real or imagined, and can be more introspective, sometimes coming off as moody, touchy, or grouchy. Socially, they might change friendships quickly or feel as though nobody likes them. This is partially because they are much more attuned to the opinions of those around them and don't like making mistakes or taking risks. In fact, they may work very hard to ensure that their work is perfect and have very distinct likes or dislikes. While they are much more sensitive to other people's feelings and emotions than they were at previous ages, they also tattle. They depend on adults for help, security, and safety, and tend to look to them for constant reassurance. In terms of their language development, 7-year-olds are able to listen and speak well, enjoy one-on-one conversations, and like to send notes. You may even find that your 7-year-old likes to write as a favorite activity. At this point, they are rapidly adding words to their vocabulary and are really good at classifying and sorting objects like leaves or coins. 7-year-olds enjoy repeating tasks and reviewing what they've already learned. They are beginning to increase their ability to reflect on their past. You may find that 7-year-olds need humor and games to help level out their seriousness. They can even become physically sick because of worry and stress. Overall, 7-year-olds enjoy working by themselves and finishing what they start, especially if that means learning hands-on, taking things apart, and discovering how they work. Thank you so much for watching this video. Next week, I'm going to wrap it up by discussing the developmental stages of children between the ages of 8 and 14. If you're interested in you or your child working with me one-on-one, please go to my website, learnwithlowly.com, and sign up for a free 30-minute consultation. Please subscribe, like, comment, and share the videos that help you the most, and I'll see you next week.